welcome to tonight's webinar on cosplaying. Today's webinar is brought to you by the Palmerston Council and the Australian Esports League. Before we begin, the AEL would like to acknowledge the Larrakia people, the traditional landowners of the Palmerston region. We pay our respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. My name is Domino and I am your host for this evening. I am joined by two very special guests tonight. Our first guest is Punzie. Welcome, Punzie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And we also have Whereisdanielle. Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Now, Punzie is well known for her anime, superhero, and performance cosplay, with a global reputation in the Love Live anime fandom world. Our other guest, Whereisdanielle, is globally renowned for her Halo creations and has built a reputation with industry, working officially for Blizzard and showcasing her passion for popular video game characters. Now, I'm going to hand over to Punzie and Danielle this evening to talk about all things cosplay. We will have some questions at the end, so make sure you drop them in the chat and we'll go through and try to answer as many as possible at the end. For now, I'm going to hand over to Punzie, who'll start us off this evening.
Hi everyone, so my name is Punzie and I'm a cosplayer and a performer. I'm mostly known for my Love Live cosplays, and today I'm just going to be talking about how to get into cosplay, just the basics, really basics. So yeah, I've actually decorated it with my two favorite characters from Love Live, which is an anime. So I just made an overview, which is in the next slide, and which is a bit about what I'm going to be covering. So the first thing is, what can I cosplay? Should I make or buy my cosplay? Where to buy cosplays and accessories? Where to buy fabrics, patterns, expressing yourself in cosplay, and meeting new people. So yeah, I think I'll just quickly tell you a bit about myself before I start everything. I got into cosplay because I used to love like costume parties growing up. I didn't know what cosplay was at all until I was like in my early 20s. So I didn't really know about it, and it took me a while to find out what exactly it is. So cosplay is costuming and play put together, and you can cosplay absolutely anything. You can cosplay anything. So you can cosplay video games, anime, cartoons, movies, TV book characters, original characters. It doesn't matter. So I was a bit nervous because I was a bit older than the average cosplayer. So I was worried about what I would cosplay and what people would think. And it doesn't matter. So I started with original characters and just things that I made up, characters I made up. So I've put some photos here that you can see. The first one in the yellow outfit is Honey Lemon, and she's from a Disney movie called Big Hero 6. And then, of course, I have Spider-Gwen, a comic book character. Underneath that, I have Ruby Kurosawa, who is from Aqua's Love Live, of course. And then next to that is an OC character, which is, it's just pretty much Punzie, just me, but dressed up with a blonde wig. So you can cosplay absolutely anything. It's not just anime, which when I first found out about cosplay is something that I thought it was about. You can cosplay absolutely anything. It doesn't, and also the movies, it doesn't have to be just animated movies. You can cosplay absolutely anything. Go cosplay Harry Potter or anything like that. That doesn't matter. That's the great thing about cosplay. You can come up with absolutely anything, and you can even change original characters, change other characters to make them more original, and you can cosplay that. That's one of the best things about cosplay. So in the next slide is, should I make or buy my cosplay? And that is absolutely, completely up to you. I know a lot of people, they've asked me, younger people have been like, but I can't sew very well. So I don't really, I don't feel like I'd be a real cosplayer. There's no such thing as a real or a fake cosplayer. I myself personally prefer to buy costumes, and then I add to them. So in the photo that I've got there, the one on the left in the maid outfit with the blondie brown hair they're both Love Live characters, but I completely made that from scratch. That was the first cosplay I ever made from scratch. And then the one next to that is a cosplay that I bought, and then I added to it. So you need to, it's not just like how skilled you are at sewing and all those types of things, you need to also take into consideration time constraints, money constraints, and how you want to customize something. So the good thing about being able to buy a cosplay is if you're not that skilled at it, you don't have the time, you can buy a cosplay and you can add to it. So for example, on the right one with the red wig, I added glitter to the white on the skirt, which you can't really tell. I added glitter fabric. There's sequins all up and down. This photo isn't a very good photo, you can't really tell, but everything has glitter, and even the choker I'm wearing, I completely made that because the one that came with it I didn't like. So yeah, that's a great thing about buying a cosplay. However, the one on the left, I made this cosplay, and while you could buy it online, it didn't look like this. I didn't like the fabric that was being used. So because I made it, I was able to customize it more, and everything, like not just to my sizing, but changing the fabric, little things like that. You can add little details, like you can go over the top. I could have made, there's a cosplayer I follow who made this exact cosplay. It's absolutely gorgeous. And what she's done is the black, it's all completely sequins, and everything is sequins and lace, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So the great thing about being able to make your cosplays is complete customization. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you make or if you buy them. That's completely up to you. There's no right or wrong way. The next one is where to buy cosplays and accessories. This is something I get asked all the time. So this took me a very long time to find out about, because I wasn't really a part of the cosplay community, and it took me a while to, build up my courage and go to events and stuff. So I didn't really know anyone in the cosplay community. So I didn't know where to buy things. But now that I know, I wish someone had shared that information with me. So if you're not aware, what you should do, number one, shop local, like shoes, socks, accessories. You would be amazed by the things you can find, and they're usually so much cheaper from your local stores. And if you're worried about pricing, go to a secondhand store. You can find so many amazing things from the Salvos. I can't think of anything else, any of the other brands. But yeah, if you go to a secondhand store, they have such amazing things. Or even you can bits and pieces. You might find a skirt, or it might be a dress, and you like the bottom, but you don't like the top. It's fine. What's it gonna cost you? Next to nothing. So you can grab that, take the top off, and it's just absolutely amazing. However, if you want to just go and buy a full cosplay, your best bet, if you're a beginner, is AliExpress. Now, I will say, before I get into this, the shipping time and manufacturing time is taking a lot longer because of COVID-19. I apologize. I have a puppy. He's running around. So AliExpress is your absolute best bet. Now, the only thing, it's all in English. It's all wonderful. The only thing I would say to look out for, also AliExpress is in the first picture, you can see, is look at the seller's rating. Always go for a 98 or higher percentage rate when it comes to customer, what's the word? I can't think of the word. Just make sure you look for the percentage rate of how happy customers are. 98% or higher, I would personally recommend. My favorite, though, to shop with is called Taobao. However, I need to strongly just warn you, Taobao is a Chinese website. So you might be like, why are you shopping on a Chinese website? Like, why? I'll tell you why. You will find cosplays on there that you will pay like not even a quarter of the price for in Australian dollars. However, it is very difficult to find if you don't know what you're looking for. And when you use the website, which you can kind of see on the right, it's all in Chinese. So you need to, I use Google Chrome, and I use Translate, which I have installed as it just automatically translates it into English. Of course, it's not always correct. You have to be careful with your words. You can't just type in, I want a Sailor Moon cosplay. You would type in Sailor Moon Cosplay for some reason doesn't come up, and then of course it can be very difficult. It's difficult to get custom sizing, etc. However, if you can use it, there are many tutorials online. If you can use it, if you get the time to train yourself, you will save so much money. But then again, it's only good if you do bulk orders. You can also buy fabric there. I buy the majority of my fabrics from Taobao. However, even though they're cheap, it's only good if you do a bulk order because the shipping fee is about 30 Australian dollars. But again, if you're paying not even a quarter of the price of what you would pay on AliExpress or whatever, when you do bulk, especially if you do a group cosplay, you can still end up saving hundreds of dollars. It can be really difficult and a bit scary, but I promise you, I promise you, if you take the time to learn it, it's 100% worth it. Facebook cosplay groups are also great. Lots of people always selling things secondhand. However, in my personal opinion, I have found that they're usually overpriced, so I wouldn't really recommend it. You might think you find a good deal, but then once you get onto Taobao and AliExpress like that, you might as well just buy a brand new one. And then eBay and other sites, you can use eBay. I buy all of my wigs from eBay. You can't buy wigs from Taobao anymore. You used to be able to, but you can't do that anymore. But eBay, I buy all of my wigs from. I have personally never bought a cosplay from eBay, so I can't comment on that. There are other sites before I knew about AliExpress and Taobao that I used to buy from, but I wouldn't recommend it. I've never personally had a good experience with it, but I can speak for others that have. But yeah, definitely number one, the best bet, in my opinion, if you want to buy a cosplay, AliExpress. Otherwise, shop locally. You would be amazed at what you can find. Now, the next one, where to buy fabric. That's so easy. Your local fabric stores. You just go down the road and there might be, just a fabric store you might not have really thought about it before. They can be so cheap, so much cheaper than Spotlight, so much cheaper than Lincraft, and they usually have more variety, or especially if you're doing you want to do really detailed sewing, you want to make sure you get the finest details. They usually have some really wacky, crazy fabrics, and usually you'd be like, what the hell? Why would I need that? One day, I promise you, you're going to be looking for that exact fabric, because it's happened to me a million times. And like I said, you're usually able to save lots of money. And usually, they'll give you a good deal. Oh, you want this, you want this. You don't even have to ask. They'll be like, cool, I'll just give you an extra meter, whatever. I've always had a really great experience. Unfortunately, where I live, there's not so many anymore, which kind of sucks. But that's my, I would highly recommend that. That's my number one recommendation for where to buy your fabric. And then next, of course, Spotlight, Lincraft, and then Remnant Warehouse. They have a website. They sell some really good, amazing fabric. Always, though, if you really, really want to make sure that a fabric is exactly what you want, order a sample, but be careful of how pricey they are, because some websites try to sell them for $15, $20 for a sample. No. I'd say maybe $5 for a sample, maybe $10 depending on the fabric. But yeah, if you want to be very, very, very specific about your fabric, always order a sample first. But yeah, they're my top four recommendations for where to buy your fabric. I know for me, I always get really stressed out because the fabric I want can never find the color. You'll never find it. But yeah, local fabric stores, always the best bet because they have everything. Next, we have patterns. Holy moly, was I scared when I found out about this. I didn't even know they were a thing. I was like, what's a pattern? What's this? What's that? So don't be scared by patterns. Don't be scared about them. They can make things so much more easier, especially you want to get started in cosplay. You want to make your own. You're not sure what to do. Go to your local Lincraft, Spotlight. Fabric stores might have them, local fabric stores. Go and have a look at patterns. There's official ones, as you can see, there's Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and there's Zelda here. And what the two photos underneath is something that I'm working on right now, which I thought was a perfect example. So you can see this one, S9006. you see the Wednesday Addams, which is the girl in the black dress with the braids. And the picture next to it is the cosplay I'm making. Now, what I'm doing is I've bought this pattern because I'm not the best sewer at all. Even though I have been cosplaying for a long time, it's not what I'm strong at. So I've bought this pattern and I'm going to use the base of that dress, the black dress with the girl with the braids, to make the costume for the character you can see right beside it. Because if you look at her dress, it's nearly identical. And the great thing about it is that the collar in the black dress is pointed, but I can easily change that. And so I'm going to be able to make the whole complete base of the dress super easily because I've gone and bought this pattern. Otherwise, I could look it up online. Sometimes for myself, I find that a bit stressful, but also having this, it simplifies being able to create a cosplay. It's easy to customize. I can change the collar and I can use it for future cosplays, especially because I really like doing cutesy, fun cosplays. It's definitely something that I would use again and again and again. And my friends can use it as well. It's easy to adjust the sizing. It's just really, really, really easy. It is a bit frustrating because they're really, if you rip them, because they're very thin, but I definitely recommend patterns. Don't be scared by it because you might be like, oh, you know, like you can see the bell there and you want to do the live action bell, they've got it, and you might want to do a character and they don't have the exact character. That's why I use this example, so I can show you that you can use something that's similar and change it to fit your character. Like, of course, I'll need to make the bow on the back and the apron and stuff, but the base, the absolute biggest part of the dress is going to be done. And I've got the fabric. It's totally fine. Makes it so much more simple and so much more easier. Now, the next part, expressing yourself in cosplay. Cosplay is not just about the costume itself. You can do skits, you can do dances, you can do photo shoots. There's so many more things you can do. Not just, you know, it's not just about getting in a costume and that's it. I myself am in a dance group called Aurora, and we dress up as the characters and we perform as the characters. And I have a little video, which I'm going to show you, of our first professional video that we made together. There's 9 girls, and I'm the girl in the middle, which you should be able to tell. I'm not sure. But yeah, so this is just one of the little things that you can also learn to do, or you can explore as well. So we'll just get Steph to play that. There we go. So yeah, it's not just about cosplay. You can do absolutely anything. You can enter the competitions, skits, photo shoots, dances. And it just helps you to expand your skills as well. Like that video you just watched, because of cosplay, I was able to learn how to edit that video. I edited that entire video. It was a complete overcast, really sad day, dark skies, and I was able to edit it. I'm sure it's not perfect standards, but because of cosplay, I was also able to learn those new amazing skills. So yeah, that's just one of the very other few things that you can do. That's not just getting into a costume. Now, in the next slide is meeting new people. And I was about to get into it before, but then I was like, no, I'll wait till the next slide. So it can be really difficult and kind of scary to meet new people, because I know, cosplay and it's all nerdy stuff, but we're all nerds. We're all nerds. We're all geeks. And it can be scary. But there's so many things. Everyone is so welcoming. Everyone's going to welcome you with open arms. And just, you can meet people online. You can meet people at cosplay meets, conventions, special events. Like the people, all the girls in the video that you just watched, they were complete strangers to me. And we met because I wanted to make a group with girls who wanted to join and dance. And now they're my family. They're my absolute best friends. And we're all geeks. We all get along. It's amazing. Cosplay can really help you find your true amazing best friends. So what I would recommend, if you want to get started and you're nervous about meeting new people, of course, that's totally normal. Don't be ashamed of that. Facebook groups are your best bet, because there's so many around the world, of course, but there's so many Australian groups that you can, if you just look up, I should have written some down. Australian cosplay groups you can look up, or even conventions. If you look them up, Supernova Cosplay Group, you'll be able to find many of them. There's cosplay meetups that happen not just at conventions. Like this photo you can see, Love Live again, was a special screening and at cinemas in George Street in Sydney. And we all went and we got together, all of us strangers, we got together and took a big group photo. And now I'm really good friends with some of them. It's just absolutely amazing. So it's not just conventions where you can meet these people. They're absolutely everywhere. Talk to them online, make friends. There are so many people I've become super duper close with online, and I still haven't met them in real life, but I consider them some of my best friends. And they just live in Melbourne or wherever, and hopefully soon I'll be able to meet them. But you meet some amazing people. So I definitely recommend joining some Facebook groups, and you're also able to ask for advice there and help, and everyone's so willing to help you and answer your questions. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't be scared to ask. And the last and the most important thing is cosplay is about fun. Don't worry whether you make or buy your costume. Don't worry about anything if you're worried that you have the wrong colored shoes or the wrong type of wig. It's about fun. We're all geeks. We're all nerds. We're here to have a fun and an amazing time. For me, it is an escape, and it is my safe place and my safe space. And these photos these girls are my family, and I would not be where I am today without them, and I love them more than anything in the world. And I only met them because of cosplay. And it's so important to not give up on something because you're worried about what other people think. Go out there and have fun. Don't do a cosplay because you're worried you don't have the right shoes or whatever. You go out there, you have fun. We're all going to welcome you with open arms, and just have a good time. That's all I have to say. Don't worry about anything. You go and you have a good time. So yeah, thank you for watching my my little stream, and I hope you enjoyed my slides. I will pass it over to Danielle now.
Thank you for that. I'm going to probably cover a couple little things that you've covered as well, because I think they're really important to drive home. So this is my first slide. I want to talk about this really quickly. This is my first ever photo in costume. I'm in the big suit of armor. I do so much armor stuff. That's kind of my thing, is just build the most ridiculous, uncomfortable thing you can imagine and wear that for, 8 hours a day, because that's just my thing. So I felt was really important to show at the start, because it was such a pivotal moment for me, that first moment of having random people I've never met before, interact really positively with me. So getting into my talk, my second slide is going to cover a couple of things that Punzie's already touched on. Cosplay is a community thing. You get out of it what you put in, so good vibes only and all that sort of stuff. Cosplay is at its heart costume play. It's fun. There is no other way to put that other than it's fun. There are no boundaries, no limitations. It is for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, where you're from, the color of your skin. Nothing matters so long as you're having a really good time. So my next slide kind of drives home a couple of really important points that I think get overlooked a lot of the time when you're starting. Cosplay is not a competition at all unless you have entered a competition. There's no need to compare yourselves to other people's cosplays or anything like that unless you are in a competition where that's the whole aim of the game. And don't be hard on yourself when you start. It's a skill that you will develop over time. The more you do something, the better you get at doing it. I'm sure none of you got on a bike and were just amazing at riding a bike the first time you rode a bike. So just be kind to yourself. You will get better when you first start. Moving on to my next slide, I'd like to congratulate you for already taking your first step into cosplay. This is it right here. You're doing your research, you're learning, and already you're on your journey. So from here, watch more videos, read forum posts, just absorb all the information you can, and then just get stuck into it. There is no one starting point other than just the desire to do it. So moving on further into my presentation, I'm going to cover some basic materials that I use and a lot of other people use to make armor. So the one you're going to see the most is EVA foam. This is my absolute favorite material. You also have thermoplastics like Warbler, which are more expensive and just use heat to form them over surfaces. Also on my next slide, I do have some examples of more advanced materials like 3D printing. That's a bit of an expensive way to do it, but definitely not too hard to get into. And then you do have your paper and fiberglass, which is definitely, taking it up there in skill level. So now that you have sort of an understanding of what some of the base materials are, here is why I think you should just forget the other ones for the time being and just let's use EVA foam. Why? It's really, really cheap. I cannot even stress to you how cheap it is. I was buying four like almost 1 meter square tiles from Kmart for $10, and 2 of them packs, full costume armor, done. Sorted, $20 of materials, perfect. It's really available. You can buy it pretty much anywhere, in store, online, wherever you want. It's super forgiving. You can make as many mistakes as you want. You can fall over in it. You can bend it, squeeze it, whatever. It's not going to break on you very easily. It's really easy to learn how to put together, and it's super, super lightweight to wear around all day. So that's why you should start with foam. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you're going to work with foam. So you can buy foam online or in store. So like Kmart, Bunnings, all that sort of place will sell you foam. Prices vary, and sort of the type of foam you can buy vary from store to store. So that is something you're going to have to inspect in person, decide if that's what you want to buy. You can order stuff online, have it delivered to you, or you can buy from specialty cosplay stores online like Lumen's Workshop, TNT Cosplay Supply, and Polyprops. They make foam specifically for cosplay, so a lot of it is non-textured. Stuff you buy in store will be flat on one side and have a texture on the back side. So if you need something that's smooth both sides, you are going to need to buy specialty cosplay foam. It's all the same stuff. It's just a different place to buy it. Moving on, you are going to need some tools to work with EVA foam. So you are going to need a sharp blade. If your blade is dull, you're not going to have a good time cutting anything at all. So make sure you've got a nice sharp blade, something to cut on to protect your surfaces, and make sure you're really careful. Obviously, it's a knife. Be super careful with that. You are going to need a glue to attach your pieces together. I used hot glue for the first, I want to say 4 years of my cosplay life. A lot of people say, don't use hot glue. It's fine. It's cheap. It's easy. It doesn't require a big respirator or anything, and it holds up really well. So you can use hot glue or contact cement. Both you can buy in Bunnings, anywhere local. Super readily available. Just with contact cement, you are going to need a mask and to do it outside. And there is like a waiting period before you can glue things together. So that's something to keep in mind. You might want a heat gun. something a lot of people don't realize is if you heat up EVA foam carefully, you can then bend it, and when it cools down, it will sort of retain any curves that you put into it, which is really cool if you want to make a helmet that's rounded, or, you know, something maybe that's a dome shape. You can just heat it up and form it to that shape, and it will stay like that when it's cool. Also, foam is sandable. So if you have a rotary tool, you can actually sand like texture into foam, or you can sand around the edges, or fully sculpt and carve into it however you want. Or if you don't have the money for a rotary tool, you can do it with hand sandpaper. That was me for a long time. It is very, very painful to sit there and sand foam for ages. So I'd recommend a rotary tool if you have the money for that. Now, since these are all, you know, either fumes or sharp or heat, you need safety gear. If you're going to cosplay, you need to do it safely, and you need to make sure that you are as careful as possible, because it's about having fun, and we're not having fun if we're in hospital. So please use a respirator if you're using anything with fumes, paint fumes, contact cement, anything like that, respirator or mask, please. Safety goggles are very important if you're using a rotary tool with any kind of sanding bit on it that can break. You only have one set of eyes. Please protect them. You need them. If you're working with anything that's super hot, like Warbler gets really hot, gloves are a must. You do not want to burn your hands. So now that we're being super careful with our cosplay, I'm going to show you we'll talk about how you're going to make some shapes. So there are a couple of ways that you can do templates and patterns and stuff. You can work from, you know, drawing out a pattern piece on paper, or making it out of cardboard first and then transferring it to foam, and that works completely fine. There are people online that sell pre-made templates that you just print out, cut out, trace around, and glue together. That's awesome. There are so many places online. You just Google, say you want to make something from Halo, you go Halo templates, it'll be there, and you'll be able to print it out and go from there. Or you can take it up a level to more advanced programs on your computer, like Armorsmith or Peppercura. These let you take 3D models of anything and break down the surface into 2D templates, where you can then reassemble it back up into that 3D shape. They do cost money though, so again, that is a budget thing that you will have to be mindful of. Next slide, please. So this is a little example of my beautifully sketched out paper template here. This was just a scrap piece of paper, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I looked at a photo and drew out the rough shape, measured it against me, and then just cut that out and use that as the template. So super easy, super basic. You don't need fancy templates. You can just use whatever, but I recommend having some kind of guide at all. And this is the bit more daunting Peppercura designer. So as you can see on the left there, that's the 3D model, and on the right-hand side, you can see how that's been broken down into those 2D template parts. So as opposed to, you know, the more simple piece before that I hand drew, you can see how you can make more complex shapes more easily with a 3D model that breaks down into templates like that. There are tutorials online as well on how you can use these. There's literally hundreds of tutorials on how to use Peppercura Designer and Armorsmith properly. So that kind of covers where to buy your foam, what tools you're going to need, and how to get your templates. From there, once you've got your templates, here's an example of me laying out my templates and doing the very time-consuming task of tracing around it before you cut all the pieces out. Here is a little photo example of how foam is sandable, and you can add so much 3D texture and shaping to things to give it that different look. You don't have to just leave it flat. So with foam, because it has a thickness to it, you can layer items together to make raised areas, and you can glue things together at angles, and you can sand in all those tiny little dots like I did to make it look like hammered steel. That took me so long to do, but definitely sped up by the fact that I had a rotary tool and wasn't doing that by hand. So definitely recommend that. I actually forget what my next slide is, so I don't even have a clever lead in there for you. More examples of texturing foam. So I think the coolest thing about foam is it is so cheap, and you can use it to make whatever shape you want. Literally everything I make is EVA foam, unless I'm doing a prop piece that I need to be 3D printed or something like that. So all of my armor, mostly most of my helmets. There's only a couple that aren't foam, but most of them are all foam. It's all, having your base templates and figuring out what angle to glue them together and making sure your seams are sanded and all that sort of stuff. You can cut in lines into foam. You can sand in lines into foam. You can layer things. You can attach things at angles. And any texture that you add to it, which it's so easy to do with rotary tools and stuff, just makes it look like a completely different material. Also, EVA foam is super porous, like a sponge. So when you paint it, you need to seal it with a spray-on Plasti-Dip or something like that. Peel coat, like a rubber sealing, like latex sealing, or a wood glue, PVA glue type primer thing. And then you can just paint it with whatever. I literally, I have a little, sorry, I just banged my mic. I'm so sorry. I paint with house paints, just a cheapo tub of house paint with a brush, everything, until I got enough money to buy expensive painting gear. So everything is super low entry. This costume that's on the screen right now, it's on the other side because I'm not flipped. Everything on that is EVA foam except the helmet, because I needed to get a big, beautiful bubble helmet for it. So all of that is foam. It was all painted by hand with a paintbrush. And it was all using Peppercura, so I used 3D files to make templates for that. So I think I blasted through everything that I made my points on. But I do have a couple more photos, unless we went through them already, of just sort of costumes that I've done. Normally I can talk for so long about things, and sometimes I get on a roll and smash out everything that I want to say in one go. Yeah, so I feel like I covered everything super fast. There's also this awesome product called foam clay. So it's the same material as foam, except it's sculptable like clay. It's also pretty cheap. You can use that to sculpt things and put it on. It adheres to foam and just air dries. So that's really cool. I use that on a bunch of my projects as well, to get those organic shapes. On my Fortnite cosplay that was on screen just before, the night looking thing, there's details on the helmet, just on the forehead, that are foam clay. I'm watching Steph try and catch up with me as I go all over the place. I'm so sorry. It was on screen briefly. It doesn't matter. Basically, foam is the greatest thing. It's literally my, I'll make everything from it. I do shoes, helmets, everything, weapons, shields, everything under the sun from it. Yeah, I'm floundering because I've rushed through everything. So definitely gonna have to get you guys to rescue me here, as I've run out of ways to say the same thing.
Yeah,
that is all good. Thank you so much, Punzie and Danielle. That was amazing, really insightful. We have gotten a fair amount of questions come through. We got some questions for the registration, and we've also had some questions come through throughout tonight as well. So I'm just gonna start at the beginning and let's see how many we can get through. So the first question we've gotten is from Abigail. Abigail would like to know, what made you get into cosplay, and what's one of your favorite memories while doing so?
I guess I'll go first. So I've always been a nerd. I've always been a geek. I've always loved dressing up, and I just love being able to become someone else, I guess. And when I'm in cosplay, I have this confidence that I guess I don't have when I'm not in cosplay, and I know that it's like that for a lot of my friends as well. So I just really feel like I can truly be myself when I'm in cosplay. My favorite memory would have to be oh gosh, I don't know. I love performing, so being able to stand on stage and hearing the crowd chant to a song that you're doing is, I always get very emotional. And my last performance, I absolutely cried a million times on stage. So that's some my favorite moments are always when I'm dancing and being able to be up there with my friends. And yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. Is cosplay. I'm a very quiet, very anxious human being that doesn't do big crowds and hanging out with strangers a lot. But you put on the costume and you're this whole other person. So it really sort of changes your mindset. And instead of being you are the character, and that's kind of the point of cosplay. So my favorite points of cosplay is that moment when a little kid sees you and to them you are their favorite character, and they just, their face and them running at you and just being so excited, that's probably the best thing ever. But also meeting people who like the same things and getting to have those genuine human moments of being like, oh my god, you look awesome, that's always like something that stays with me for weeks after a convention. So
Awesome. All right. Matthew has asked, how do you get the motivation to start and stick with just one or two projects? Because I find myself starting a project with laser sharp focus and then start losing it because life. I'm going to guess you guys have multiple projects going.
Man, I can't even. Oh, hello. Sorry, this is my puppy Boba. He's a therapy dog in training. So, yeah, he's just because he's a puppy, he just has to sit on me. So if you see a little furry head, that's why. I have multiple projects that I'm working on, and not just for myself, for my dance group, because I founded my dance group. So I can't really answer that. I just try to, if I have multiple things, I try to do as much as I can of one thing and then move on and move on. But I'm going to be honest, unless there's a deadline, and because there's no conventions at the moment, it's all over the place. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. I think the faces that we pulled when you read that out kind of described the whole thing. I have what I call the pile of shame at the moment, which is basically the 12 through 20 different costumes that I have started at some point in the last 5 years and just at some point stopped working on. I finish everything. I do eventually work my way through everything, but in order for me to, actually, something just hit me in the face, work through things and finish things, I have to set myself deadlines. So I have to say this costume is for this event, or this costume is for this specific time of the year, because maybe it's too hot to wear it any other time of the year. So I set myself goals, but I also do not force myself to work on something when I do not feel like working on it, because you will end up ruining it for lack of care in that moment for what you're doing.
I think that's really important as well, because if I end up forcing myself to do something, I end up hating it as well. So
it sucks the fun part out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jane has asked, opinions on cosplay after 30.
Go for it. Age, like, it doesn't matter. It's cosplay. You do you. Like, who cares about age? It's cosplay. Have you seen the, like, I've seen like old guys and old women like cosplaying cute like couple cosplays. It's amazing. I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. You do you. You go for it.
There's no rules. None. No rules. Except that you have to be having fun. Do not do it if you're not having fun.
Yes.
Just make sure you're having fun, having a good time, and that you're being good to other people. So that's the only rule that there is.
Awesome. Okay, Jane has also asked, what do you think of influencers now joining the cosplay / nerd trend culture to appear more relatable and just to get more clicks?
Okay. I think if they're doing it just because they want clicks, it is something that really hits me hard, because I was bullied tremendously. Like, I think the majority of us were, like I've said a million times, we're all nerds. So we're all we're all like outcasts a little bit like that. So it does really upset me. But if they actually end up having an interest in it and they want to get involved and they acknowledge what they've done, then why not? Like, if they haven't harmed anyone, then join the community. The more the merrier.
As long as it's well intentioned. Like, as long as it's not coming from a malicious, like, I am only here for your money sort of, mindset, then the more the merrier. It's a community, and we're here to share and experience joy with everyone. So
awesome. Okay. Amanda has asked, best places to find inspiration.
I use Pinterest for everything. My dance group is gonna be like watching this, like, oh my god, yes she does. I use Pinterest for everything, especially OC characters, original characters. You can find the craziest things on there, and you can put it into like one little pin board, and I 100% recommend Pinterest for that. That's what I use.
I think most of my inspiration comes from other cosplayers. So I just follow as many creators as I can on Instagram and on Twitter, and I just see what they're up to. And if they're doing something cool that I think, whether it be a technique or a costume or something like that, I try and incorporate things that other people use into my work. So.
Yeah, awesome. By the way, apologies everyone. Punzie's camera is doing a little bit of a jumping around there. It'll fix itself again shortly. No, happens sometimes. It should fix itself shortly. Awesome. Okay, now our next question. I feel like, Danielle, you might have answered this in your talk, but you can reiterate this for us. Sean has asked, what is the best material to use when you are making things for your cosplay, such as armor or plates?
It does depend. The best material, there isn't generally a best material. It does depend on what your end goal is. If you want something that's super rock solid and like has the sound of something solid when you knock on it, obviously you're not going to get that from something squishy like EVA foam. So you might want to use fiberglass, or you might want to 3D print it. It really depends on the exact project you're working on. So research is your best friend. See what other people who are doing something similar to you are doing and how they're doing it, and see what you can take from that.
Awesome. Okay. Grim Reaper 123 asks, Punzie and Whereisdanielle, what is your favorite cosplays you have done and why?
Oh gosh, I hate this question because I can't think of one. Favorite cosplay I've done and oh gosh.
That's all right. I have the best cop-out answer.
Okay, yeah, I'll pass. Danielle.
All of them, because they're all different. So each one is my favorite for a different reason. So maybe one I really liked how I did the paint job, or one I really liked the textures. So they were all my favorites. That's my cop-out question.
That's so wholesome, though. I love it.
I think that's valid. I think you're allowed to love all your cosplays.
Yeah. I think
better than hating.
Yeah, I think my favorite cosplay would have to be. Oh gosh, I don't know. Just any group cosplay that I do in my dance group, because we're all, we've all worked so hard and we're all in it together, and it's just like a really magical moment to work so hard on something together as a group and to show it off on stage and stuff. So I can't pick one, but anything I've ever performed in is always my favorite.
Awesome. Okay. Jazz2466 asks, what's the longest time you spent making a cosplay? Danielle's gonna have made some huge armor that's taken her like months.
So much longer than me. For me personally, it was about 2 or 3 months. About 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. It depends what you mean by that, because there's my Lara Croft costume took me 7 years to finish, but that's not because it took me 7 years to make. It's because it took me 2 weeks to do actual work on it, except I took a 7-year break in the middle of the 2 weeks. So it does depend. A lot of my armor stuff is maybe 100 hours worth of work, which sounds like a lot of time, but I do projects over like the span of a year or 2 years. A lot of my stuff is long-term project arcs. So
wow.
Okay. Grim Reaper 123 asks, Punzie and Whereisdanielle, what was your first cosplay you ever did?
Oh God.
Making you think there.
I did a human version of Gorgeist, the Pokemon, and there are no photos on the internet.
That's
Because
a shame.
I
I
was
want to
very
see
young.
that.
And I know, right? I was like, I deleted them in a moment. Now I wish I hadn't. But yeah,
They'll be there somewhere.
they were not very good, but I tried my hardest.
Yeah, awesome.
Mine was the Master Chief costume in my first slide, so
Okay, very cool. All right.
super.
Jazz2466 asks, what's the average cost of a cosplay?
That definitely depends. If you're making it, if you're buying it, and of course what materials you use. Like obviously there would be a base difference for like sewing materials or if you're building armor. I can't comment on that at all. That's Danielle's forte. But for me, it usually costs, including wig, shoes, around I'm gonna say, if I don't use Taobao, and I can't reuse anything, about the 150 mark per costume, and that's cheap.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, yeah.
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 I would have to agree that my price range is typically $100 to $150, like in material cost, not in labor hours. But in saying that, if we were to average out all of my costumes, there are some that have cost me, $30, and then there's my Supergirl that I'm working on right now that's cost me well over 1,000 Australian dollars at this point. So,
Wow.
we won't talk about that right now.
Oh my goodness, she's looking amazing though, from what I've seen through your Instagram.
Yes.
So it's getting good. Okay. Kawaii Kitty asks, with cosplay, is it good to still get wigs from AliExpress?
Of course. I noticed, I realized, sorry, afterwards, I said I get all my wigs from eBay. That is not true. I get the majority of my wigs from eBay. Oh, sorry, my dog wants to run away. But my wig I wear for my latest character that I've cosplayed, Ayumu, is from AliExpress. So definitely AliExpress you can use as well. Go for it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's no right or wrong way, wrong place or anything to buy a wig from. It just depends on your personal budget and what you're looking for in the wig. So you might have no choice but to buy from AliExpress if nowhere else has the same style that you need it to be. So, yeah.
100%.
Speaking of wigs, Chelsea Howland asks, how do you know if a wig you're ordering online is going to look real and not super fake?
I've only used like wigs for cosplay characters, so they never look realistic because who has a bun sticking out of their ear? So I've never used like a lace front or anything like that. So I
Really?
can't comment on that. Never.
I'm actually surprised. I pretty much only use lace fronts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think that,
the thing that's going to make your wig look the most real is going to be the hairline. So if you're really worried about that, a lace front would be the way to go.
Okay, awesome. All right, moving on to our next question. Grim Reaper 123 has asked, Punzie and Whereisdanielle, would you travel for cosplay, and where have you been so far?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. my dream convention is in Japan. So absolutely I would travel. So sorry, what was the second part of that question?
Where have you been?
Where have I been? I have been to Melbourne, Adelaide, and Queensland for conventions, and I am from Sydney. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely going to travel for cosplay. That's like the best thing that you can do is travel and meet all those friends that you've made online in person at their local cons. So my dream destinations is all of the big US cons like Dragon Con, Katsu Con, San Diego Comic Con. Like those are my big goal ones to hopefully get over to at some point soon. I've been traveling to Melbourne and to Queensland cons for a couple of years now, and I'm also Sydney based, so I'm yet to get to Adelaide, but we're getting there soon. And Perth, I'm coming for you.
All right. Ricardo is asking, where is Danielle? If that incredible Master Chief was the first time you were getting photos taken, how did you develop your skills before going out into the cosplay community?
That's an excellent question, and I did get a head start on cosplay, not through, making costumes or whatever before cosplaying, but just through my parents have always let me do really artsy stuff growing up. So my dad is a handyman. He builds lots of things for a living. And my mom was a graphic designer. So I grew up, sculpting out of Play-Doh and drawing on walls and, making a huge mess. So thank you, parents, for letting me do that. It's gotten me where I am. But yeah, it's sort of a combined creative childhood that gave me the skills that I needed to have a really solid jumping off point for cosplay.
Awesome. Okay, Jazz2466 asks, where is Danielle? What 3D printer do you use?
I have, it's the Cocoon Create. It was sold in Aldi a couple of years ago, but it's the most popular sort of style of 3D printer. There's like a rip-off of a rip-off of a rip-off or whatever. They're all like the same kind of printer. But a lot of my friends that print on 3D printers have like the Ender 3 or the CR10. There's no sort of best printer. It's kind of whatever fits your needs. But I personally have the Cocoon Create.
Okay, cool. All right. Grim Reaper 123 would like to know, Punzie and Whereisdanielle, do you guys game or watch esports?
Yes. I mostly play. I don't really play competitive games, so I'm really into like The Sims 4 and Animal Crossing. I love American McGee's Alice Madness Returns, those sort of things. Yeah, so I don't play competitive games. But yeah, just the cutesy things. And I do try to stay up to date with all the latest esports news. But I don't I'm not super into it. I wouldn't call myself a massive, huge fan. Not the biggest fan.
Yeah. I definitely watch esports stuff. I'm not I don't have like a team or whatever. I just like to watch the grand finals because they're always the most intense thing you'll ever see. Physical, real world sports does not interest me at all, but there's something about watching people play video games that you play yourself at the most insane level that's just so mind bending for me. So that's why I watch esports. And I'm definitely a huge gamer. I play pretty much everything under the sun on pretty much every platform under the sun. So, yes.
Lots of variety. Okay, Grim Reaper 123 also asks, where is Danielle with Pepper Cura? What is the best paper to print on? Because I have tried and failed.
That depends what you're doing with the printouts. So if you're going the fiberglass route where you need it to be more solid, you need to print on a cardstock, so like a card paper type material you can buy at print stores and stuff. If you do not intend to keep that paper version of it and fiberglass that, and you just need it for printout templates, just regular A4 paper, regular printer paper is exactly what I print on. But if you're having specific issues, definitely maybe reach out to me on social media and I'll see if I can figure out what's happening for you there.
Cool. Okay, Mr. Meninja asks, one thing I've always had a hard time finding is shoes for specific cosplays. Is there a specific place you get shoes that you can use foam with?
I honestly just look in physical stores. A lot of the shoes that I've used with my foam builds have been cheap shoes from Kmart or anything like that. Sometimes you can find specific stuff that you need online. It depends again on your intent with the shoe. And I wouldn't say there's something that's specifically better to use with foam or suited for using with foam. Foam isn't meant to use with shoes in the way that we use it with shoes. It's more how you attach things to the shoes. So there will be definitely heaps of tutorials online on how you can attach foam, whether it be elastic or you glue it straight on or you make a cover for it. It's just getting creative to work with what you do have to make it work out for you.
Grim Reaper 123 has asked, foam clay, where can you get it?
Lumen's Workshop has it. Pretty much any online specialty cosplay supply store will sell it. It's not something that you will be able to buy physically in person at Kmart or Bunnings or anything like that, but online cosplay supply stores like Lumen's Workshop, which is Melbourne based, TNT Cosplay Supply is an international store, Polyprops has it. I'm pretty sure Hero Studio on the Gold Coast has it as well.
Okay, cool. Mr. Meninja's asking on behalf of a friend. She wants to know the best online stores to buy wigs and hairnets.
Well, every wig I believe that I have bought has come with a hairnet. So like I wouldn't worry too much about that. But if you're wanting to buy hairnets in bulk or separately, definitely AliExpress or eBay for either the wig or the wig cap. Just make sure even on eBay, you just check the ratings, the seller's rating. There we go. The seller's rating. Yeah, either eBay, AliExpress would be the cheapest bet and the best bet in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I buy most from Wig is Fashion and Arta Wigs through Lumens, as they're the Australian stockist for Arta Wigs, and their stuff comes with hair. The words, yes, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, wigs and the hairnets for them. Yep.
Yes.
Mr. Manager's friend would also like to know, what are the best way to attach latex ears? Do you guys have any familiarity with those?
I do not, but I would also love to know that because I've always wanted to get a pair. Oh my gosh, a pair of giant elf ears. I don't know.
So my younger sister is a special effects makeup artist.
Wow,
yeah.
Yes, so like it's really in the family at this point.
So that's so cool.
Yeah, she has put prosthetics, like latex prosthetics and stuff, on me with spirit gum. You need a remover for it. Don't take it off with like water or rip it off. You need to dissolve it with alcohol. That's also how I glue my lace front wigs down. You are meant to glue lace front wigs down. You don't have to, but you are meant to glue them down. And spirit gum is a way to do that.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Okay, Orton has asked, what are the top cosplay events to attend around Australia?
Oh, well, I think Australia doesn't have many big cons, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just, I don't know, uneducated. When it comes to, I think it also depends on what type of cosplay you're doing. Like, I'm an idol cosplayer, which idol performing, all that kind of stuff. So for me, the big ones are MadFest, which they've just came to Sydney last year and this year, and Smash, which is a New South Wales based convention. So they are the big ones for anime performing. But of course, it depends on what type of thing you're cosplaying, and then also always Supernova, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Danielle,
it's definitely different because I don't do so much anime and cutesy stuff like Punzie does. I think it would be a bit weird if I rocked up in a full suit of armor to MadFest or Smash or something like that.
Get on stage and start.
Yeah. So big ones for me are the Supernovas, the Oz Comic Cons, and definitely PAX is like the biggest one for me in terms of cosplay and also scale of the convention.
Awesome. Okay, Grim Reaper 123 would like to know, have you got a workshop you use? Danielle's like, yes, sort of.
I had my own room that I would use, but I've just moved. So my setup right now is in the middle of the lounge room. So not right now. I literally am sitting right now in the middle of the lounge room. So eventually I'll get back there.
Yeah, I was building suits of armor out of my bedroom, where I'm currently sitting right now, for about 2.5 years, and then we turned the garage into an extra room, and that became the place that we shut my mess away, and that's kind of where it's all stayed. So I'm lucky to have a little bit of space to work in, but I'd started in my bedroom.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, Grim Reaper 123 would like to know, have you guys played any tabletop RPG games like D&D, so Dungeons and Dragons?
I have not. I have, like, my friends have been asking me for years, and then whenever we're like, yeah, we're going to start a campaign, something happens. So I haven't. I know I am a fake nerd.
We're going to fix that.
It's shameful. Yes. Okay, let's go.
D&D session.
I'm going to bully you into my D&D group.
Okay.
Politely.
Yes, of course.
I play D&D. It's another excuse to put on a costume, so guilty.
Very cool. Chelsea Howland has asked, are you familiar with My Hero Academia?
Who is not? I think, yes, of course. I have not watched it, though. Shame on me.
Gosh.
Some of the girls in my dance group are massive fans, and I know they're going to be watching this like, oh, shame. How dare she? I have not watched it, but yes, I've heard about it because one girl in particular, Peachy, who's watching this, always talks about it. I love you.
I don't tell anyone, but I actually have a Deku costume that's almost finished.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see it. That's amazing.
Heard it here first.
Yes, you are familiar with My Hero Academia. All right. Speaking of D&D, Grim Reaper 123 has asked, have you ever cosplayed anything from Critical Role? If you are familiar with Critical Role.
I am not
yet.
familiar with Critical Role. I'm sorry.
We're going to have to fix this as well. What's happening here?
I know, I'm such a fake geek. Who am I?
Oh my god. No, you're
you're
in another sphere of
types of
and that's fine. That's totally fine.
I'm just anime.
Yeah. I do have a couple of plans to do something from the second campaign, but I'm not going to spoil it because it's going to be a secret.
Ooh.
Very cool. All right. Jazz2466 has asked, Punzie and Danielle, would you ever sell merch? Danielle, I believe you have some merch.
I do actually have some. I do, yeah. I have a couple of t-shirts and stuff that you can get. Don't oi me.
No, sorry, my God.
I know.
My backdrop.
So, Danielle, if anyone who's watching would actually like some of your merch, where could they maybe go to find this? Can they go to your Instagram and find a link through there?
Yep, so there is a link in my Instagram bio that has links out to everything from there. So it's on Teespring if you're looking for it.
There we go. Okay, so there you go, guys.
Go buy it.
Danielle does have some merch. Punzie, would you ever consider doing some merch?
I mean,
we're going to have to fix this as well.
I would love to. Like, I mean, I have a very, very small audience compared to Danielle, and I would love to get bigger and maybe sell something. I'm not sure what it would be, though. Like, just a bubble tea and, like, an anime light stick.
Can I get shirts with your face on it, please?
Okay, but I need one of you.
Okay.
We can...
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. All right, the last question I have listed here is from Rakito. Have either of you had anyone give particularly negative reactions to your cosplay?
Yes. Yeah. I think we kind of refer to them as gatekeepers when people like they love a character so much that sometimes they kind of forget that the person in the cosplay is a person, and they can be kind of nasty and be, like, I don't know. I've personally had some people say some nasty things to me, like, oh, you're wearing the wrong shoes with that cosplay, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. It is what it is. You just got to try and forget about it and move on. Of course, it can be quite hurtful, but 99% of the community, majority of the community are not like that. It's very rare, very, very rare.
Yeah, there's always someone that has to pick on the one flaw in your costume. It's like you could tell who I was, so we've done the job correctly. Who
Yeah.
cares if my wig is the wrong shade of brown? Does it
Oh.
matter? You know who I am.
I was like, the fact that they told
yeah.
you it was wrong for that character means they realized who you were cosplaying?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, hopefully you guys don't get too many negative comments. And your
No.
cosplays are amazing.
Constantly get told I'm too short. That's the biggest thing. Is because everyone that I cosplay is supposed to be, 7 foot tall, and I'm not that. So
You're the fun size version.
Yeah.
You're the awesome mini version size. Okay. Oh, we've actually had a couple more questions come in, so let's go through these ones. Chelsea Howland has asked, do you sometimes get sick of all the costumes and makeups?
Yes, I'm gonna be completely honest. Hello, because I mentioned my puppy who's going to be a service dog for me. So I find it sometimes for myself very difficult to get in cosplay and to get in makeup. Like sometimes it can just be really tough. So it definitely depends what type of headspace I'm in. And sometimes I'll plan to do a cosplay day just at home, take some photos, and I'll just be like, oh, it's so tough, like putting in the lenses and all that. But it's all about fun, so I don't force myself to do it if I don't want to. And it's definitely don't force yourself if you're not having a good day. And remember why you're doing it. You're doing it for fun. You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah. It's the same. It depends on what headspace you're in on the day and how much effort you can be bothered, putting in, because sometimes it is hard to, spend an hour and a half doing some makeup and then an extra, 30 minutes slapping on the entire costume, and then you have to get to the venue. So sometimes it is a lot, but a lot of the time we are having, too much fun to really notice about it. So definitely have to take breaks. Sometimes because you can't sustain that level of putting on a character. Literally, you are putting on a full-on show for someone in terms of makeup and a lot of the time personality as well. So yeah, it is important not to push yourself.
Okay, Grim Reaper 123, going back to D&D, would like to know, Danielle, what is your character class?
I've played many a character class. My current character is a tiefling monk, but my favorite character to play is definitely a bard.
I can see you having a lot of fun with a bard.
Yeah.
Okay, the Bit King has asked, what do you guys do with your old cosplays that don't fit and things like that? What do you do with those ones?
I have a hard time. I try to sell mine or give them a new home to someone who is going to love it and give it life other than staying in my wardrobe. But I'm going to be honest, I have a hard time getting rid of them because I have so many memories. And I'm like, no, I'll reuse it. No, I'll do this. No, I'll do that. So I do try to, I have sold all of my old cosplays. Of course, if they're not, like some of them they've been ruined because I've like ripped them while I'm dancing or something, can't do that. But I try to give them a new home where they can be loved and cherished. But yeah.
I have given away one costume to a friend, so I still see it all the time. I didn't feel like it went anywhere, and I was able to let go of it. I have the same problem where not only do I have all the effort that I put into creating it, but I also have all of the memories from wearing it attached to it. So I have a hard time letting go of things. So giving it to a close friend that can repurpose it, and that is really good. And I've thrown away only one costume, and that's because I'm completely remaking it. So it hasn't really gone anywhere. It's just getting reborn.
Fair enough.
I'm a hoarder. Is what I'm saying to you.
I can see how it'd be hard to get rid of some cosplays. You'd fall in love with them, so I can totally get that. Okay, Grim Reaper 123 has asked a question that I feel like I can almost answer. Where is the best place to get in contact with you both for help with cosplay? And I'd just like to point you to their Instagrams that are both below both of their names. So you have punzie.t and Whereisdanielle. So make sure you go and follow them both on Instagram. But Punzie and Danielle, is there anywhere else that you guys would prefer other than those Instagrams?
You can contact me on my Twitter. It is Punzie Pudding, like Pudding. Twitter's probably the best way to contact me because Instagram, I have a lot of messages and it can be kind of overwhelming. And sometimes I like put it off a bit. It's more overwhelming. And I just, Twitter's definitely the best bet to contact me. I promise I'll reply to you on Twitter.
And Danielle, is your Twitter a good place to go as well?
Yeah, so my Twitter is at Danielle Debs. It's probably the place where you're guaranteed a reply, as my follower count on there is a lot lower than my Instagram. I have not ever seen my Instagram DM requests go below over 99. It stops counting at 99 requests. And I haven't seen it go below that in a very, very long time. So it is very hard to sift through messages on there. So definitely tweet at me rather than DM me on Twitter, and I'll try and get back to everyone.
Awesome. Okay, Mr. Meninja has asked, how do you get to events when you are in full armor cosplay? How do you, Danielle?
Well,
that's a good question.
You recline the front seat and you push it as far back as you can go, and you sit in the passenger seat and you force someone to drive you there. Or you stay really close to the venue and get dressed and walk across. Alternatively, you get changed in the car park. I've done all of the above. Yeah, there's not really an easy way in big armored cosplay. You kind of have to make do and definitely plan ahead.
Yeah. Punzie, have you ever had any difficulty with any of, like, do you ever had a cosplay that's a bit challenging to get to an event, or are yours a little bit easier to travel in?
Oh, mine are definitely easier than Danielle's. Gosh, the only one that was hard was my first cosplay when I did the human version of Gorgeist, because I had a giant like hoop skirt thing that we made out of metal. But yeah, that was it. That was years ago. Definitely no, like I can't even complain. Like,
yeah, I did public transport once, and that was it. I rode the train in my Master Chief costume for an hour and a half each way, and I will never take the train in costume again, ever.
That is definitely quite an effort. So well done on that. Now, I think that is actually the end of our questions. So thank you so much to Punzie and Whereisdanielle for your insights and knowledge you shared this evening. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
And everybody, make sure you follow Punzie and Danielle on their Instagram so you can see more of their amazing work, and their Twitters have also been dropped in chat, so you can go check it out there. And yeah, if you have any questions for them. But yeah, thank you both so much for being here this evening.
Thank you
for having us.
All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for, coming to this webinar tonight on cosplay. I hope you found it insightful, and I hope you've learnt something new. Thank you to the Palmerston Council and the Australian Esports League, for without either of them, tonight would not have happened. Now, we do have a form as well for this evening, because we'd love your feedback on how you found tonight's webinar, and, anything you can provide. So we're going to drop the link for the form into the chat, so take a look at that. And yeah, I hope you all found tonight beneficial and perhaps learned something new in the world of cosplay. For your information, next week we are going to have another webinar which is going to be about competitive gaming in esports, so come along to that one if you're interested as well. Otherwise, thank you all and hope you all have a good evening. Good night.